it's Alison of Dreamweaver Designs, and today on Thinking Outside the Box, I am going to show you how I created these trees, holiday bulbs, and ornaments. These can be used as ornaments for your tree, holiday decorations for your crafts, decorations for your home, and also pendants and earrings to create beautiful holiday jewelry. There are a total of 8 different variations I've included in this tutorial. I hope you enjoy these as much as I do. So let's get started. To create these trees, I used this cutter set from RJ Crafts. Comes in 6 different sizes. I used the smallest 2, so you can create earrings and a pendant. As you can see, the largest size is good size, so you can actually use this to create ornaments for a larger tree if you so wish. This is for the surface effect. I used Lumiere by Jacquard. This is the Halo Blue Gold. You're going to need a paintbrush, and I used this stamp, and this is from Prima. You're going to need some water, and you're going to need some black polymer clay. I'm going to go ahead and get set up. First thing you need to do is spritz your stamp, and my stamp is a little dirty. It still has a little bit of clay on it, but that's fine. So I'm just going to spritz it with a little bit of water. And then I'm going to lay it down on my clay. This I have rolled out to a number 4. Number 1 is the thickest setting on my pasta machine. This is a number 4. I like to roll it thin because I like to cover everything with resin, front, back, and sides. So as you do that, it gets thicker. So what you want to do is place the stamp down on the clay. And I like to also use this acrylic block, which just gives a more even pressure onto the stamp because you want to get a pretty deep impression. And now I'm just going to finish it up with my fingers and push into the clay with the stamp, getting the best impression that I can get. All right, I think that's pretty good. So this is the impression that we have. And for this stamp, that's about as deep as it gets. So then the next thing you're going to do is you're just going to choose an area, that you like the best. And go ahead, excuse me, and cut your shape out. Pull away your excess clay. And this is what you have. So you're going to go ahead and bake this. I used Primo Sculpey. So that is at 275, and I like to bake for an hour. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in the oven, and I will be back. Pieces are out of the oven, and they are fully cooled. And we're going to just work with the 2 smaller ones. And the first thing that you need to do is clean up your edges. And I like to take just a nail file that I get from the Dollar Tree. and just run it along the edges. So you're just getting that excess clay that was stuck to the tile. And then when you baked it, it kind of attached itself to the piece. You're just getting that off. And it comes right off. It's real easy to clean. Then I also like to take any sharp edges and just kind of dull them down a little. When you add the resin, that can get pretty sharp. And I'm going to go ahead and do this other one off camera. Pieces are totally cleaned up, and I wanted to show you this little tree here. I actually created using metallic paints. And you can do the same process with the metallic paints. And I used these two here to achieve this color. All right, so the first thing that I want to do, so these aren't sliding all over the place, is just tape them down. So I'm just taking a bit of masking tape, and we'll put the trees on that so they're not sliding all over the place. Now I'm going to show you just the basics of each ornament or earrings that I made and pendants. I am not going to go through the resin process. I'm going to show you how I created them and the end result for each one, just to make this video a little quicker. All right, so now that we have that, we can go ahead and put our trees on our tape, and now they're not going to slide around. And the first thing that you're going to do, let me zoom in a little, is you've got your water and your brush off to the side. And you're going to take your Lumiere paint and shake it up. And I like to work out of the cap. I'm just going to take a bit of paint and dab it on to the clay. Dip my brush, grab a little bit of paint, dab it onto the clay. And you want to, try and get it all the way to the edges. Clean my brush, grab a bit of paint, and do the next one. And you're not using a whole lot of paint, but you want enough to cover it. So now you can see that some of that green is turning like a teal blue, a greenish blue. So now I'm just going to take a bit of water and I'm going to add it on here. No other paint is involved. I'm just adding a little bit of water to the paint. And what's going to happen is that water is going to mix in and bring out more of that blue. And you can, as you watch, you'll see more blue showing up. And what I like to do is just kind of play the waiting game here until I get to a color that I want to achieve, which is pretty much a combination of the green and blue. I wait and I watch. When it gets to a point that I like, I go ahead and put it back in the oven. And it's okay to put this tape at 275 for, 5-10 minutes in the oven. It doesn't hurt it. And it kind of, when I put it back in the oven, it kind of locks in those colors. So I'm really kind of liking what I see here. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in the oven for 10 minutes at 275. And when I come back, we'll see what it looks like. All right, 10 minutes later, and these are fresh out of the oven, so I still have a mitt on because the tile is hot. But the paint is fully dry, and that is the color that I locked in. So I've got the pretty greens and that pretty teal in there. Now, what you'll do is you'll let that cool, and then you will go ahead and resin it. And I have my video that is completely dedicated to resin, and that I will have a link to in the description below this video. But when you're done, you know, you will have these gorgeous pieces. And I feel that the back should be just as pretty as the front. And what I did for the back of these is I added glitter before I resined. And let me tell you, I have been mixing glitter in with resin, and that has worked fine, but sometimes I'll have leftover and it'll waste my resin, and I hate wasting anything. So what I have come up with is, ta-da, some more UV gel nail polish. And this is totally safe for polymer clay. This is not regular nail polish. Some regular nail polish over time will eat away at the clay or soften it. They just don't like each other. Some of them are okay, but it's hit or miss. You don't know. And, you know, months or years down the line, you don't want your pieces ruined. So this UV nail polish is like resin. It will not ruin your pieces. So this is actually glitter polish. And I used the teal for the back. And that's what it looks like. And this is what it looks like. I mean, it is luscious, let me tell you. This stuff is amazing. So you would just paint that onto the back. And what I did was I didn't do a really thick coat here. I just kind of thinned it out. You can do a thicker coat. And let me find a piece that's got solid on the back of it. Like this piece here is pure glitter. It's just totally coated in glitter on the back. So it's whatever look you want to achieve, and that's the difference. Whereas this is just lightly put on, and this is put on in one nice, you know, solid coat. So this set is amazing. It comes with teal, silver, red, what's kind of like a pinkish red. There's a really light purple, a pink, and a gold. And I will show you on the other pieces what I've used with these, but I'll tell you, there is no waste, no more wasting resin. You just resin over the top of that to finish your piece, and you're good to go, and it's right here in these little bottles. So that is how I created the trees. And I will be up next with the holiday lights and ornaments. To create these holiday lights and ornaments, I used this stamp, and I got this at Hobby Lobby. I used the Color Shift Aqua Flash, and that was for this one here. And if you look at this, it just glows. It is so amazing. I love this Color Shift paint. For this one, I used some Cosmic Shimmer Pixie Powder in Purple Violet. And this one, this lighting doesn't do it justice, but it really glows too. You can also use, this is just their type of mica powder with a little bit of like paint pigment in it, but it is a powder. So once you wet it, it actually distributes mica and color. So that was that one. And my all-time favorites. A lot of you know I use this a lot. This is the Deco Art Fluid Acrylics, the interference paints. And this is the blue and, oops, not green. I grabbed the wrong one. It should be the turquoise. And that is what I use to create this one here. So there's two different colors that show up in it. And it glows as well. And last but not least, Cosmic Shimmer has opal polishes, and these are really cool. This is the Blue Wisteria opal polish, and that is how I created this one here, which glows blue and is kind of purplish in where the stamp is. So that's how I created that. And to make the top of the bulbs, I colored those with Inca Gold, and this is silver. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up to create a bulb, and I will be back. So one kind of important thing I forgot to mention is I used these cutter sets here. This is the ornament cutter set, comes in 8 different sizes. You can buy them individually or you can get them as a set. I will have links below the video in the description. This is the bulb set. It comes in 9 different sizes, and you can buy it as a set or you can buy them separately. And as you can see, the largest sizes are quite large and will work beautifully for our ornaments on a larger tree. You're also going to need water and a paintbrush. Now I'll get set up and I'll be back. All right, the first thing that you're going to do is you're going to take your stamp, and you don't have to use the stamps that I use in this tutorial. You use any stamps that you have on hand. Sometimes my stamps are older and they become unavailable. If they are, I'm sorry, but if I can find them on the internet, I will definitely put a link in the description below this video. I cannot stress enough, if you have a question, please check the description below this video first, because I post links to all products used if I can find them. So what you want to do is spritz your stamp, and again, we are just going, just with a little bit of water, and we are going to put the stamp down onto the clay and go ahead and make your impression. And this one does a pretty deep impression. And that looks really good. You can see the nice deep impression. So what I'm going to do is we're going to work with creating this one, because this one is my favorite. And I am going to make some earrings to match this. So I am using the second to smallest cutter in the Lightbulb set. And you just kind of want to search and see what's a pretty area to cut out. And then you just go ahead and cut it out. And find another one. And then go ahead and pull up your excess clay. And now we need to create the top that looks like, you know, the top where the bulb screws into the socket. So I'm just going to get a little bit of black clay and a utility knife. And I'm going to roll this clay. First, I'll zoom you in a little. I'm going to roll this clay out into a snake. Let me move this out of the way. It'd be easier to have a little more room to do this. And we're going to cut 3 pieces from the snake for each earring. So you kind of want to get it as, you know, as even as you can. I'm going to cut these little ends off. And a good judge to figure out how much you need is if you just kind of size it up, is what I do. And I know that the length of my blade is about what I need. So I'm going to do 3 of those. And, you know, it's approximate, so it's approximately right there. So I'm just going to kind of eyeball that and cut 6 of these. And we don't need that. I'll put them on here and pull this back over. All right, so now we want to put these up here. So you just take them, and I like to start at the bottom and just lay it there. And we can do adjusting later. So now we have them on there. And now we're just going to kind of tweak it to the way that we want it. And you want to look at it from every angle and just kind of push it down onto the clay. You don't have to add anything to make it stick to the clay because this is raw clay to raw clay. So it will bake on there quite nicely and won't come off. So now you're just, you know, tweaking it to where you want it, making it look nice. And I kind of push down a little on the top and flatten it just a little. And you just keep doing that until you like what you see. And then we're going to go ahead and put this in the oven for 1 hour at 275 because I'm still using the Sculpey Primo. So 275 degrees for 1 hour. All right, these are out of the oven and fully cured. And I'm just going to go ahead and put them down on a piece of tape, which I have already adhered to the tile. And that's just so they don't move around. Now, the very first thing that we're going to do is we want to make the tops look silver. So I've got my Inca Gold. My Inca Gold is a little old, so it tends to dry out. And all I do to fix that is, let me get a different brush. All I do to fix that is add a little bit of water. And I should have been prepared. And I'm not finding the brush that I want. Darn it. All right, we'll use this one. So all I do is just spritz a little bit of water in there. And I'm not going to be using a whole lot of this. So then I just take my brush and, take my brush and swirl it around in there. And then hit other spots that aren't so wet. And get a nice amount onto my brush, and I will zoom you in just a little bit more. We are just simply going to brush the silver onto the top part of our bulbs. And I like to get the edges Get a little more on there. Do the other one. And I'm just making sure that I'm getting the edges. Excuse me, my stomach is growling. It must be hungry. The top's really good, and the edge is really good. And that's all there is to it for that. Now we are going to go ahead and do the surface treatment on the actual bulbs. And for that, I used the Color Shift, and that's the Aqua Flash. So I'm going to shake that up. And we're basically going to do this just like we did the trees. And we've got our water off to the side. And we're going to be using a wet brush, but not a super wet brush. And we're not using that brush. So you get your brush a little wet, tap some of the water off, and then go ahead and get some of your paint on there. And just going to paint that around. Get some more water, tap it off. And make sure you're getting down into the grooves that the stamp left. And that noise you hear is not popcorn popping, and it's not a dryer running. It is rain on the roof of my studio. It always seems to do this when I want to film a tutorial. But that's okay. We don't get snow here in Florida. We get rain. That's what our winter is. And if it got a little colder, we might get snow, but we're not that lucky. All right, now that we have all the color and we've taken it to the edges, we're going to add just a little bit of water like we did the last time so that color can shift and move around. And most of it's going to fall into where your stamp is, where it left an impression. And then a little bit will float on the black that's left. And this again, you can go ahead to dry this quicker. You can wait a little while and then put it in your oven at 275 for 5 or 10 minutes, and that will dry your paint and you'll be ready to go. So I wanted to show you, we'll go back to, let me go ahead and zoom out. I'm going to put this over here. The backs. On the back of this one, I'm going to want to do the same for the earrings, but I used the silver from these gel polishes that have glitter in them. And like I said before, there's no waste when you do it that way. When you're mixing resin with glitter, sometimes you have leftover. You know, the UV resin can get to be pretty expensive, so you really don't want to waste it. So I simply just brushed a little bit. I didn't go heavy on this one. I just did a little bit of the silver on the back. And this one I used some gold on the back. This one I got heavy with and used that blue teal, and oh man, that sparkle is amazing. And on the back of this one, I used the purplish pink, and I went heavy with that. So once again, I love these. They come in handy. What I did with these, I forgot to mention, up at the very top of these, I just used a brush, and I'll show you in what brush I used in one of the upcoming segments in this tutorial. But I took that silver and I just brushed it at the top of these ornaments to give them a little extra sparkle. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up for our next project, and I'll be back. Once these are dry, you are going to resin them. Again, the link to my UV resin, how I UV resin tutorial is in the description below this video. So go ahead and check that out. So we'll let those dry, we'll resin them, finish up the backs with some sparkle with these polishes, and you're done with them other than adding a hole. I will be back. These were created using the bubble effect. I used these cutters here. These are the ornament set and the bulb set. And I used the smallest from the ornament and the second smallest from the bulb. I am not going to show you in this tutorial how I created these. If you watch the segment before this one, you'll see how I created the bulbs with the tops to them and then added the sparkle up here. Please go to my bubble effect on polymer clay and you will see exactly how I created this effect and the paints that I used to help achieve the color. So check that video out. I'll probably put a link right up here to it. If not, check the description. Check for the link in the description. I'll have each set organized with what I used in it, links to everything. So please, you take a look at the description. But that is how I created these. And again, I finished the backs off with the UV resin, or I'm sorry, not UV resin, with the UV polish that has glitter in it. So instead of mixing glitter in the resin, I used that for the beautiful sparkle, so there is no waste of resin. So check out the bubble effect on polymer clay tutorial. I know you're going to love it. It's a really cool effect, and there's so many things you can do with it. I'm going to get set up for the next one. All right, this is for the trees. Now, I just want to say off the get-go that I created these with the bubble effect. And what I did was I used, instead of a black UV gel polish, I used green. So I'm not going to show you how I created these. Refer to my bubble effect video, but to get the little lights and to get the garland, this portion of this tutorial will show you how I achieved that. So we're actually going to create this one here. And I used these two metallic paints. This is Folk Art Christmas Green and Folk Art Peridot. I used this set of tree cutters, and I used the very last cutter. You're going to need a fine brush or a nail brush. And I like these because, as you can see, it has a very, very fine brush where you can do really cool nail art and thin lines with it. So you're going to need a brush like that. And I did not use this brush. I used, and of course I can't find it now. You're going to need a dotting tool. And I use this one with the very fine tip. And I used a brush like this. Not this one here, but this one. And of course, to create the garland, we refer back to this wonderful set. It's very inexpensive and actually on sale right now. And if you want to purchase it, I will also have a 10% discount coupon in the description below this video. So I used the silver from this. And this is it here. And this is it in all its glory. It is very thick and luscious, and there's so many things you can do with it. This is not regular nail polish. This is UV gel nail polish. You do need a UV lamp to cure this polish. So that's what you need for this project, along with some water that I have off to the side. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up, and I'll be back. And I forgot to mention something. For my lights, all I did was grab different color metallic paints. I got gold, I got blue, I got purple, I got red, and turquoise. And that is how I created the little lights. All right, you are going to roll your clay out. Again, this is Primo Sculpey. And I've rolled it out to a number 4 on my pasta machine. Number 1 is the thickest setting. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my shape out. And now I am going to bake this in my oven at 275 for 1 hour. And I'll be back. Our piece is out of the oven, and I have cleaned up all the edges. I've put a piece of tape on my tile just to hold it down so it doesn't slip around. Go ahead and put that down. I'm going to zoom in a little, and we're going to go ahead and paint the background. And I'm going to start with the Christmas green metallic. And I like to just work out of the cap. So I'm going to get my brush just a little wet. Dip it in. And just start dabbing. And I like this brush because it's got an oval to it, so it kind of, I don't know, to me it kind of gives it texture of like branches. So you're not putting a whole bunch of paint on, you're just kind of dabbing it on there. We'll move some of this from up there down here. All right, now we're going to go ahead and add some of the peridot. And rinsing my brush off, getting off most of the water. Go ahead and dip it into the cap. And you don't want too much on there. And then I just kind of dab it around. Like that. Just giving it a little more color than just the dark green. And that's it. Now we are going to add our lights, and you know, you can choose any colors that you want to do this. These are just the colors that I chose, and that would be the gold. So I'm going to go ahead and shake that up, and I need to get a paper towel really quick. And the paper towel is just to wipe my dotting tool off. So I'm just going to take my dotting tool and dip it right into the cap so that I have some of that gold on there. And go ahead and dot that right onto the piece. And that's wherever you want to put it. Oops, that kind of, I did it too quickly, but that's okay. Once we get our garland on there, you won't even see that, oops. So you put it wherever you want, and you just continue to do that with all your colors, putting them wherever you want them. We can even cover it up by adding the color there. All right, go on to the next color. And you get the gist. You're just adding color wherever you want it. And by using the dotting tool, you're getting small circles that look like lights. And they can be big, they can be little, they can be however you want them. So I'm going to go ahead and finish that up off camera and let it dry, and then I'll be back to show you how I painted the garland. All right, we're going to go ahead and create the garland for our tree. Everything is completely dry, and I am going to be using the silver UV gel nail polish. You are going to need a UV lamp to cure this. So what we do is you're going to get your brush out that's very fine, like this one, and give the polish just a little shake. And we're going to work right out of this bottle. So I am going to just take a little bit, I don't know if you can see this, I'm just taking the brush along, let me see if I can get this out. I'm just taking the brush along this part or off of the brush, just getting some of that glitter onto this brush. And the first thing you're gonna do is start to make a line. And at first I like to just kind of make the line and then add the glitter to it. And I just keep adding a little bit of glitter onto my brush and drawing it on there. Now I'm going to continue it up this way. And just adding glitter. And that's all you do. You're just putting your garland wherever you want it. So I'm going to take it and bring it down to here, and just doing that little bit first to follow, and then adding to it so that it's nice and glittery and it looks just like garland. So I'm going to go ahead and finish the rest off camera, and I'll show you when I'm done. Okay, I am done adding the garland, and I'm going to go ahead and cure this under my UV lamp for about 3-4 minutes to set that garland in. And then you go ahead and resin the top, the sides. Make sure if you want to add some glitter to the back that you do that. before you add your final coat of resin. And I just wanted to show you how I clean my brush off. So I have a little bit of alcohol in a spritzer bottle. And so I don't get them confused, I have an A at the bottom because one of them is water and one of them is alcohol. So I just spritz a little bit onto a paper towel and I simply wipe off the gel polish very gently. You don't want to pull on your brush too hard. And it gets all of the gel polish off with just alcohol. And now you have a nice clean brush for the next time. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up for the next video. Just to show you the back, I did a silver backing to kind of go with the Garland, and I was very light with it, but it just gives it that extra sparkle. Go ahead and get set up for the next video, and I'll be back. All right, to create these little bulbs that are just full of sparkly goodness, I used these wonderful UV gel nail polishes. And I use silver, but you can use red, you can use the purple, you can use the pink, you can use the beautiful bluish green or teal. And there is also gold, which is what I used on the backs of these. To decorate the top of the bulb, I used gold ink. This is the Deco Art Metallic Luster, and this is Gold Rush. Just like I did with the silver, I painted it to the top. And I used this cutter set. I used the second to smallest cutter. So I'm not going to show you again how I cut the polymer clay out, but I roll it to a number 4 thickness on my pasta machine, just like I normally do, because I literally put coats of resin on the sides, on the front, and on the back. So it makes it thicker. So I'm just going to go ahead, and I've got some pieces that are already cured, and we're going to try this with a different color and see how it comes out. All right, so I am actually going to do an ornament one too, which is the smallest cutter from the ornament set. This is polymer clay that I've already baked. So I baked it at 275 for 1 hour, and it is now fully cured. I have cleaned up the edges on my pieces, so we're ready to go ahead and start decorating. You can go ahead and decorate the top of the bulb where it screws in. You can use the metallic luster gold, or you can use the Inca Gold silver, like I used on the other bulbs, or you can use the silver from this. And I think we're going to try that with this one. So well, no, I'm not going to do it because I think that would just be too much sparkle. So I would put the silver there. I would probably just use this silver at the top. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to make this bulb in the blue. So this is how I shake these. I just kind of tap them against my hand. And we're just going to go ahead and paint this on. And it's that freaking simple. So I just have a good amount on my brush, and I'm taking it right up to the top and just painting it right onto the cured clay. Can't stress enough, this has to be cured clay that you're working on. It cannot be raw. So you just take it around and get it as even as you can. And I just take it right up to the edges. And I'm laying this one on, you know, thick. I'm not doing it sporadically because I really want this to have a lot of sparkle. So that's all there is to it. And then you would just cure this under your UV lamp I would cure it for about 5 minutes. And then you can resin over the top of it. But don't forget, you're going to want to color your silver part up here. I wouldn't leave that black. Now for the ornament, we're going to go ahead and use like the reddish pink on that. I think that'll be really, really pretty. And I'm going to do the same thing like I did with the turquoise. And I'm going to stop right there because I want to add silver to the top. But those just, oh, can you imagine wearing these and the sparkle coming off of them? Especially if you're, you know, at a party and there's like lighting everywhere and it just, oh, sparkle like millions of diamonds. You just love it when you get a phone call right in the middle of doing a tutorial. Now for the top, I'm going to use silver. And then we're going to go ahead and cure this under the UV lamp. So I'm just adding a little bit of silver up to the top. And that is it. Those are really super easy to make. So you go ahead, add your silver up here with your Inca Gold so that it looks like the top of the bulb that screws in. And again, they call. I am just so tired of telemarketers. Anyway, you are going to cure this under your UV lamp for about 5 minutes, and then you can go ahead and add resin to the top, and you have some really quick and easy earrings or ornaments or pendant or whatever you want to create with it. And now I'm on to the next one. I am going to get prepared and I'll be back. To create this color shifting ornament that also has some silvery goodness to it, you are going to need a stamp of your choice. We're going to be using the fine brush again, along with the glitter UV nail polishes. And to get the color shifting effect, we are going to use the 9D Cat's Eye color shifting UV gel polish from a previous video. So I'm going to go ahead and link that video also in the description below. So make sure you check that out. But these polishes are pretty incredible. And that's how I got that color shifting from like a teal green to a kind of like a fuchsia purple that you saw at the beginning of this. So I'm going to go ahead and get set up and we'll get started. I also used the ornament cutter set, which you saw in previous clips, so I'm not going to show that again. I'm going to go ahead and not put the one that I already made down on there, but I cut out my shape in polymer clay. I baked it in the oven. Here it is, fully cured and ready to go. So I cleaned up the edges. I am now just going to put it on this tape to hold it in place. And let's see, I'll zoom you in just a little bit more because this is a little more detailed. And what I did from this kit, these are color swatches that I made, which you'll see in the other video, and I'll show you the color shift and everything, which you can't really see from this angle. But I used this one here, which is number 4. So we'll go ahead and get that out. And go ahead and shake it up. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna lightly paint this on top of here without getting it down into the recessed areas from the stamp. So to do that, I'm gonna wipe a lot of this excess polish off the top of the applicator and just have a little bit on my brush so it doesn't get down in there. And you're just going to paint it onto the raised areas. So you're just doing it light-handed over those raised areas. Now, you could have also used mica powder before you bake this and put it onto the raised areas. I just really like these polishes a lot, and that's why I chose to use these. And that's all you're going to do is just go over all the areas that are raised, making sure you don't miss anything. And I'm not pushing down hard because I don't want it to get down into the lower areas. I'm just brushing it along the top, only getting the raised portions. And I know a lot of you got this polish set, and I hope that you're really enjoying it because I know I am. So you might already have this to be able to go with this idea. You know, you can take any stamp and do this with it. It doesn't have to be the stamp that I used. All right, so I think I have all my raised areas. It's easy to miss them, so you really, yep, see these little ones here I missed. So you really want to go over it good and make sure that you got all of them. And everything has even coverage. And that looks good. So what I'm going to do is put this under my UV lamp for 4 minutes. Oop, we're not focusing very good. I'm going to put this under my UV lamp for 4 minutes and I'll be back. This is now cured. So our next step is to go down into the recesses. And to do that, we're going to use this brush. And I just wanted to say that that brush comes in a set. And in this set, sorry for the cellophane noises, you get 5 brushes and each one is different lengths. And I really like them because they have these little diamond, well, they're not real diamonds, but crystals in the handle, which just makes them really pretty. But each one is a different length. So I will have a link to those just in case you want to check it out. But I'm going to take this brush now and I'm going to go down into the areas that are recessed by the stamp. And we're just simply going to fill those in with this polish. And again, I'm just going to take it off of the applicator onto my brush. And I'm just putting it at the tip of my brush. And I'm going to go down in and just paint all those areas that are recessed. And this does take a little time and a little patience, but with these thin brushes, it's really simple to get down into those spaces. And you just want to make sure you do it for each and every one. And then you will just have a bunch of glittery goodness. this brush, I cannot stress, you really need a fine brush, and this one is absolutely perfect. But anyone that you might have on hand that is super thin will also work. And if you get a little bit on there like I did, I kind of missed, you can just wipe it off. And that's really all there is to this one, is just, it takes time. You're just going to have to paint through each one with the polish. And don't forget, you're going to want to put some glitter onto the back of your piece. Make sure you clean your brush with alcohol. And I also added silver up to the top to give the ornament a top. So I'm not going to do all that on camera. You get the gist of it. I'm going to go ahead and get set up for our last one, and I'll be back. All right, so for this last one, which is our color shifting bulbs and ornaments, I used, of course, the ornament cutter set and the bulb cutter set, and second to smallest and the smallest on the ornament. And I used the Color Shift UV gel nail polish. And for the backs of these, I decorated them with these UV gel glitter nail polishes. These both need UV light to cure. And on the bulbs, I used a copper Inca Gold for the top part. And these are actually kind of cool. They remind me of a snake's face. But you're just going to want to play with the magnets and come up with any kind of designs that you can think of. Because I did a video on this, I am not going to show you how I did this. I will put in the description, along with this set, the link to the video to show you how I created them with these. But I created the bulbs the same way, by rolling out clay and adding it to the top. Of course, using the ornament and the bulb shapes, and then adding the Inca Gold to that, and then doing the process from the video, the tutorial that I created on these UV gel nail polishes. So that will be in the description below this video. I did want to mention, for this set, there was when I did the video, a 10% discount off of this set, which is already on sale. And that discount code is still usable, and I will have that with the link. I hope that you enjoyed this video, and I hope that you found it helpful. I really enjoy bringing free tutorials to you, and try to do them as often as I can. Sometimes life gets in the way. I'm not sure when the next tutorial will be with the holidays coming up. I'm hoping to have another one next week, but I'm not going to promise that that's going to happen, because you never know what life throws at you. So I just wanted to thank you for watching, and thank you for subscribing. And if you're not a subscriber, please click the little subscribe button and the bell, and you will get notifications when I post new videos. And if you like this video, please like and leave a nice comment. And until next time, thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day and happy holidays. Bye for now.